The third common issue to be aware of: the property before the taking and or after the taking does not conform to the zoning code. The Uniform Appraisal Standards for Federal Land Acquisition states, in part, zoning is a factor to be considered in evaluating property. Accordingly, if the property to be appraised is subject to zoning, the appraiser must identify the applicable restrictions and interpret the impact of such restrictions on the utility and value of the subject property. If the appraisal involves a partial acquisition, the appraiser must consider the effect of the zoning provisions on both the larger parcel and the remaining property. Examples of zoning issues to be aware of include use restrictions of the zoning ordinance, lot area requirements, building setback requirements, lot coverage ratios, off-street parking, landscape requirements, treatment of pre-existing non-conformance issues. The next group of slides are going to illustrate some issues with zoning. All right, here's the first example. We have a house sitting on a lot. The street is in front of that house, and that house is set back 30 feet from the street. The RS1 zoning code requires a 25-foot setback from the existing right-of-way. So in the before situation, the house sits back 30 feet, so it adequately complies with the zoning code. So now we have a WD taking. That WD taking is 10 foot wide, so the setback is now 20 feet instead of 30 feet. Is there an issue with the 10-foot wide WD taking? Well, the building now sets back 20 feet from the new right-of-way. That taking's caused a violation in zoning code. That violation must be resolved by the appraiser somehow in this valuation. Will the local zoning board allow it to continue as a legal non-conforming use? And if so, do issues still remain? Can the house be expanded or improved? ODOT's WD acquisition has caused a potential detrimental impediment to the property. It's improper to just assume it away. It must be addressed. The value analysis report may or may not be appropriate based on the outcome of investigation with zoning. Right, here's a second example. What we have is a vacant lot, and that lot contains 1 acre. The zoning code requires a 1 acre minimum site size, so the lot just complies with zoning. All right, we have a WD taking, and it's 3 foot wide. Is there an issue with the 3 foot wide WD taking? Well, the 3 foot taking makes the residue no longer conform with the minimum site size requirement of 1 acre. Is this an issue? That is unknown until there is a discussion with local zoning officials. Perhaps they will require a variance. Perhaps they will allow it as a legal non-conforming use, or perhaps they will not allow it to be developed. To answer those questions, the answer to those questions are going to drive the issue of damage and complexity. A seemingly small take may have adverse consequences if the residue property does not conform to the zoning code, but the property before the take did. It is improper to assume zoning issues away. The person preparing the value analysis report must investigate the zoning of the whole property before the taking and make a determination if the whole property conforms to zoning and what its highest and best use is, and then that person must make a determination if the residue conforms or not to zoning and if there are still issues. If there are issues with zoning, the VA may be the appropriate format to use. All right, it's now time for a knowledge check.